like a baby to go to your grandmama's house.
Every day.
You to hold your breath
Every
and
day.
throw tantrums to go over there.
I don't want to be in these gates. I want to be outside in the neighborhood. That's why I want to be over there. But they don't understand that.
No, I'm going to tell you the reason why he want to be over there. Y'all ready?
What was the reason?
Because he can suck and pacify over there. Till he was 12 years old. He was suck and pacify till he was 12 years old. He couldn't do that in the house.
He cried like a baby. Hold his breath.
Yeah.
They trying to say I was over there trying to suck a passy. But
Or altercation itself, so.
Who you more scared of?
You said, who am I more scared of?
Birdman or King?
What? Who?
King, T.I.'s son.
Oh, come on, man. That nigga pussy, man. King Harris?
Ooh, you standing on business.
What we talking about, man? Come on, man.
Don't play with people, kids now.
He
Don't
talking
play
about,
with
hey,
King.
come on, man. What? Come on, bro.
King
You
said
talking about
he
King
created the term standing on
T.I.P.
business.
son?
Yes, King.
He said he pulling up on you.
Nah, he did pull up on me at the video shoot. We had too much security out there, though.
Grown man business. 4 simple words. That's all it took for 50 Cent to shut an entire family down. Diss tracks floating around. Alleged leaked federal paperwork. Even talk about grave visits. All of it brushed off with one cold move. A deepfake clip and that signature smirk. But the real story? The stuff King Harris reportedly uncovered before everything went quiet. That's the piece 50 definitely doesn't want in the spotlight. This situation quickly stopped being just rap talk. Now it's about bloodlines, loyalty, and battle lines being drawn. If you thought the rap world couldn't get any more ruthless in 2026, then you probably missed what just exploded between 2 longtime hip-hop heavyweights and a younger voice who refused to stay quiet. What started as a basic question, could 50 Cent go bar for bar with T.I. on a Versus stage? Spiraled into something way deeper. Suddenly, it wasn't just music anymore. It turned into one of the most personal, gritty, line-pushing feuds the culture has seen in a long time. We're talking alleged documents being passed around, diss tracks dropping back-to-back like rapid drum hits in a cypher, and painful personal moments being dragged into the spotlight. The tension kept rising as both sides pushed harder, and now an entire family appears locked in a public clash with one of hip-hop's most notorious internet antagonists. And the shockwaves from this drama are still shaking the scene right now. The whole situation really kicked off in early February 2026. T.I. pulled up on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco on February 6th and didn't hold back. Tip openly claimed that 50 Cent backed away from a Versus battle after originally agreeing to it. According to T.I., they had already talked about the idea while they were out in Los Angeles promoting shows, and everything seemed cool behind the scenes. Until Tip decided to bring the conversation into the public eye.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I miss this good kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
he's still there.
He is.
He's still there.
Yeah.
That's my professional side.
So you got different sides and stuff.
Yeah, that's my professional side.
So then you got like a gangster side.
Nah.
What kind of side?
That's my professional side, and then this is just me.
That's when 50 supposedly pulled the plug. Just like that, the whole Versus idea vanished. One minute the battle was being talked about, the next minute Curtis Jackson allegedly disappeared from the conversation and left T.I. standing there looking like the deal got flipped on him in front of the entire culture. And if you know anything about Clifford Harris, you already know he's not the type to quietly swallow disrespect. Tip went straight to the record with it. He made it clear he believed 50 simply didn't want the smoke. In his view, Curtis got nervous about what a real hit-for-hit showdown might reveal about whose catalog really runs deeper. Now, this tension between them isn't brand new. These two have been trading little jabs since the early 2000s. But this time, the energy felt heavier. T.I. didn't just feel brushed off. He felt personally played. From his perspective, saying yeah to a man face-to-face and then backing away once the spotlight gets close hits different. That kind of move cuts deeper than a clever rap line ever could. Once that happened, the fuse was officially lit. Between February 7th and February 21st, the whole thing turned into a slow-burning spectacle with the internet locked in. People were refreshing timelines every hour watching the tension climb. Instead of responding directly, 50 started tossing out slick posts, memes, old clips, and alleged paperwork, hinting that T.I. had once cooperated with authorities. And in hip-hop culture, that label carries serious weight. That's not something people throw around casually. Accusing someone of being a snitch strikes right at the core of street credibility and public image. Every rapper who claims that background builds their reputation on it. 50 knew exactly what kind of storm he was stirring when he brought those old allegations back into the spotlight for millions of people to see. T.I. didn't stay quiet either. He jumped onto Instagram and made it clear he had something to say back. I made it clear he wasn't about to let that story slide unchecked. Not even close. Then on February 22nd, Tip sat down on $1 million worth of game and let his feelings fly. He said straight up that he had lost all respect for 50 Cent. In his eyes, the whole Versus situation flipping around looked weak. Tip framed it like a pattern, a man who would rather post jokes and memes online than actually step into a real competitive arena.
Now, growing up, people may assume that you had a silver spoon, but you shared that you grew up differently than most expect. So could you talk about that experience?
I did grow up with luxuries. I did grow up with a lot of luxuries, but at the same time, I grew up with more lessons and principles and things like that. And I always carried myself as, you know what I'm saying, a regular kid. I know I can go ask pops for money. I know I can, but I didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? Those was things that it was like.
At that point, the conversation had already moved past charts, streams, or catalog numbers. None of that mattered anymore. Now it was about something bigger: respect, reputation, legacy. This had turned into a test of pride. Who could stand face to face with the other and hold their ground without flinching? But between February 22nd and the 23rd, the situation swerved into territory nobody expected. The kind of territory that instantly split fans straight down the middle. People started asking a serious question: are there any lines left in rap beef that people won't cross? That question exploded after 50 Cent posted a controversial photo of Tamika Tiny Harris, T.I.'s wife and King Harris's mother, on Instagram with a caption saying, "Keep my name out your mouth." The post spread fast and stirred up a storm across social media. Then things escalated again when another meme appeared online comparing King Harris to Pepe the Frog, mocking the young man's appearance and referencing his vitiligo, a skin condition that affects pigmentation. At that moment, a lot of fans felt the usual unwritten rules about keeping families out of rap conflicts had been shattered. Bringing relatives into the situation and making jokes about someone's medical condition pushed the tension into a completely different space. This wasn't just trolling on the internet anymore. It felt like a direct personal strike. And King Harris, 21 years old and clearly standing up for his family, jumped on Instagram Live with a response that came out intense, emotional, and completely unfiltered.
You're doing amazing things, and I cannot wait to talk about, first of all, I can't wait to talk about standing on business. And I can't wait to talk about, you know, some of the things that I did notice about standing on business, right, is that nobody started saying it until you said it.
Let me take the shirt out for you. There you go. This is the shirt right here.
Oh, I love that.
I got a whole brand. You know what I'm saying? We started it. I ain't gonna say we started it, but we made it relevant to the generation.
The energy in that moment made it obvious this situation had gone far beyond music. The reaction exploded across every platform at once. Clips were flying around social media within minutes. You could hear the hurt in King Harris's voice. You could see the anger written all over his face. And in that moment, it felt like the switch flipped. The kind of moment where a young man decides the consequences don't matter anymore. Only defending his family does. To a lot of viewers, it sounded like someone reacting to a powerful celebrity publicly disrespecting the woman who raised him. That kind of situation hits deep, and King made it clear he wasn't planning to stay quiet about it. He came back with the kind of fiery response that only shows up when emotions are raw and personal. During the back and forth online, King also referenced 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who passed away in 1984 when Curtis was still a child. The situation escalated even more when King posted a video filmed near her gravesite. That moment instantly split the internet in half. Some people online argued he was firing back after his own family had been dragged into the situation. Others said bringing up a deceased parent, no matter what happened before, crossed a serious line that shouldn't be touched. Debates flooded comment sections everywhere. But in that moment, King didn't seem focused on public opinion or strategy. His reaction looked driven by loyalty, emotion, and the instinct to defend his family at any cost. And once things reached that level, the tension around the feud only kept growing louder. And before the smoke from that first explosion even had time to settle, King kept pressing forward. He made it clear this wasn't some quick internet outburst that would disappear by the next morning. The energy stayed intense. The message stayed loud.
Y'all want to go to the bando in my neighborhood? Do y'all want to go to the bando? Do y'all want to go to the bando?
King wanted everyone watching to understand that he meant every word. When he said, "I'm not raised like that," it sounded like a line being drawn in the sand. That statement was directed at everyone who believed he should stay silent out of respect for 50 Cent's legacy. King was basically telling the world that where he comes from, letting someone disrespect your mother without responding isn't an option. It doesn't matter how many awards somebody has, how many platinum plaques are on the wall, or how many television deals they've signed. Respect is respect. Then the whole tone of his response shifted again. Instead of simply trading the same type of personal insults, King leaned into something more psychological. The angle changed. The focus wasn't music anymore. It wasn't about money, fame, or online attention either. The message he pushed hinted at something deeper, the idea that some wounds can't be fixed with success or power. No amount of business wins or cultural influence can replace certain things in life. And when he said that, it landed like a heavy shot to the ribs. Because for years, quiet conversations in hip-hop circles have circled around that exact truth. One topic that kept getting dragged into the spotlight was 50 Cent's strained relationship with his son, Marquise Jackson. Over the years, their public disagreements and online exchanges painted a complicated picture. Fans have watched the tension play out for a long time, often seeing a superstar surrounded by success, money, and influence, but still dealing with very personal family struggles behind the scenes. And once that subject entered the conversation, the tone of the entire feud shifted fast. At that point, the conflict stopped looking like a regular rap dispute. It started feeling much more personal.
For sure. I know what you mean. I respect that. I respect that. Why was it so important for you to just get it on your own and just,
That's just how I was raised, man. My pop showed me some money, and then I was like, "Can I get something here?" Like, this not yours. Like, you ain't work for this. And then I was just like, you know what I'm saying? That was just the mentality that I kind of had. And, you know what I'm saying? I was just around regular kids my whole life, you know what I'm saying? I was in public school and shit like that, so I always carried myself regular. I didn't carry myself, I didn't look at myself higher than everybody. Yeah. I was humble, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So
this wasn't about lyrics, charts, or bragging rights anymore. It was about real-life wounds and emotional history, the kind of issues that don't disappear when the live stream ends or when people stop refreshing the comments. King Harris even brought up some of that old family tension involving Marquise Jackson, which pushed the conversation into even more sensitive territory. For years, those issues had mostly stayed outside the center of rap drama, but suddenly they were being mentioned again in front of millions of viewers. And King kept repeating the same point. His loyalty to his family was the reason he reacted the way he did. The energy in those moments felt raw and completely unfiltered. It didn't look like something planned by a publicist or carefully cleared by a management team. It looked like a young man defending his mother with pure emotion, without worrying about how the industry might react later. Just like that, the first round of what would become one of 2026's most talked about rap feuds was officially underway. The Harris family had clearly drawn their line in the sand. But what nobody fully realized yet was that the next phase, the music, the accusations, the documents people kept talking about, and the online chess moves, was only beginning.
So that's just you. I mess with that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Cause like, I don't like how people trying to paint you out to be like bad. You know what I'm saying? You're really not like that person. You know?
Nah, I'm a good kid.
Like, you cool as hell, bro.
Good kid.
Nah, real. That's how it's supposed to be. So I'm happy that we could do this video and show the people like, you're not how like they portray you type.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Never.
By February 23rd and 24th, both sides appeared fully locked in. There was no backing out now. The battlefield expanded beyond Instagram lives and heated posts. It started moving into recorded tracks and diss records. And in hip-hop culture, releasing a diss track is basically signing a public declaration of war with your name on it. Because social media posts fade, stories disappear. But once a record drops, that moment lives forever. Online comments come and go. They get buried under the next trending topic within hours. But a diss track? That's different. Once a diss record hits streaming platforms, it sticks around forever. It gets indexed by search engines, clipped by blogs, shared across timelines, and replayed for years. In hip-hop, that kind of record becomes a permanent chapter in someone's story, whether they like it or not. And both sides clearly understood that reality. That's exactly why the situation moved straight into the studio. T.I. made the first big move when he dropped a diss track called War. The title alone sent a message. In the record, Tip went straight at 50 Cent's past and made it clear this wasn't just another social media argument anymore. He wanted the culture to know this had turned into something much bigger. The gloves were officially off. Right behind that release, King Harris stepped up with his own record, often referred to online as Madman, though some outlets labeled it Say Less. On the track, King threw lyrical shots about 50s long-running rivalries with figures like Kanye West and Rick Ross, while also criticizing what he described as bullying behavior toward women. The record wasn't some rough freestyle recorded on a phone in a living room either. This was a fully produced, mixed, and mastered track. That detail mattered, because once a song like that hits streaming services, it's designed to live there permanently. Every time someone searches 50 Cent's name, the record becomes part of the digital conversation around him. That's the kind of move meant to follow an opponent for years. But I wasn't about to let his son carry the moment alone. He came back swinging with more lines of his own, aiming straight at 50's public image. The lyrics questioned the persona people see online, the heavy trolling, the constant memes, and the reputation as one of hip-hop's most fearless internet antagonists. One line in particular stood out: a small man in a big shell. That bar was clearly meant to challenge the larger-than-life character 50 Cent often presents to the world. Tip's message was simple but sharp. Behind all the online bravado and chaos, he believed the real test would be stepping into a direct challenge instead of firing shots from a distance.
I ain't like, when you kind of grow up like this, it'd be like your pops and your parents would be like, yeah, you good, you straight, and you'll always be like, yeah, I'm good, I'm straight. But, you know what I'm saying? In reality, you just getting it yourself because everybody wants to build their own name. So when I say I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, I mean, I had more luxuries than everybody else, but I didn't use them how everybody else would have.
That's the kind of lyrical strike that sticks to somebody's name like a tattoo. And I didn't slow down after that first shot either. He followed up with another diss called Bully. In that track, Tip took aim at 50 Cent's reputation online, calling him a novelty merchant. The line referenced some resurfaced product photos that had already been circulating across the internet during the feud, turning them into fresh ammunition in the lyrical fight. But then the whole situation took a turn nobody really saw coming. What started as tension between two artists suddenly expanded into something bigger. Instead of staying a one-on-one battle, it began to look like a full family response. Damani Harris, T.Y.'s other son, stepped into the mix with his own diss record. The track sampled Outkast's Ms. Jackson, flipping the iconic sound into a pointed jab aimed toward 50 Cent's late mother. That moment made it clear the Harris family wasn't approaching this as individuals anymore. They were moving like a united front. The message they pushed online felt direct and loud. If one member of the family gets targeted, the rest are stepping in too. But the biggest shock of the entire situation hadn't even landed yet. On February 25, 2026, the drama escalated again in a way that pulled the entire hip-hop community into the conversation. That's when King Harris posted what he described as humiliating files. The post included alleged federal documents dated October 12, 2009, connected to an investigation involving Lowell Lodi Mac Fletcher, a G-Unit affiliate who was killed in New York.
And you held at a high level, and you see what I'm saying, and people want to work with you and stuff like that. There's a lot of pros.
Now, we was talking about some of the cons you were saying, just you wasn't in a big house like everybody think.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
you had to grow up in the trenches. Why? Like, one of the questions I wanted to ask is like, why did you have to grow up in the trenches? Was that a choice, or like, was you that bad that?
I would, at the end of the day, look, my parents was always on the road, and they had left me in my grandma's house, and I just took liking to that. Like,
According to the claims circulating online, the documents suggested that 50 Cent may have provided information to investigators after the incident, allegedly pointing them toward James Jimmy Henchman Rosemond, who was later convicted in 2017 for orchestrating the killing following an earlier assault involving his son. King Harris shared the files with a caption that quickly went viral across social media. He wrote, "I got 21 questions, but just answer this one." And just like that, the feud jumped from diss tracks and social media jabs into territory that had the entire culture arguing, debating, and choosing sides. People online immediately started asking one question: who exactly was Lodi Mac? The name suddenly flooded timelines as fans tried to piece together the story. In the middle of that storm, the post carried a clear message aimed at the accusations flying back and forth. The caption basically challenged the narrative, putting the spotlight on the same label that had already been thrown around during the feud. But here's where things get even more complicated. Reports from years earlier had already addressed similar claims. Back in 2019, outlets including TMZ cited sources saying the documents circulating online were not authentic federal records. According to those reports, there was no confirmed evidence linking 50 Cent to cooperating with investigators in that case.
Yeah. So, like, people been saying it. I've been saying it a long time ago before when it actually came out, but I would say that before, like, when Drewski said it, I ain't see everybody trying to make songs to it and do all this, and football players saying it. But when I said it, I seen the news saying it, the BET Awards, the what you can't say in the classroom, and all type of stuff. So I just think that it had a more, like, it had a worldwide effect when I had, you know what I'm saying?
Court records from the James Jimmy Henchman Rosemond case showed that his conviction was built on other evidence unrelated to any anonymous tip connected to Curtis Jackson. Over the years, similar accusations had popped up from different rivals in hip-hop circles, including figures like Irv Gotti and French Montana, but each time the claims eventually faded when no proof backed them up. So in reality, the documents King shared were pieces of information that had already circulated years earlier and had been challenged by several media outlets that looked into them. But hip-hop has always been a space where perception can travel faster than facts. Once something dramatic hits the timeline, it doesn't take long before people start picking sides. King seemed fully aware of that dynamic. The move looked less about proving something legally and more about controlling the narrative online. In the age of viral posts, a screenshot can spread across the internet in seconds. Verification often comes much later, if it comes at all. And by the time people start digging for details, the moment has already exploded. At the same time, King doubled down on his stance against the kind of trolling style that 50 Cent is famous for. For years, 50 built a reputation as one of the sharpest internet antagonists in hip-hop. Someone who can turn memes, jokes, and quick posts into powerful moments of influence. But King made it clear he wasn't trying to play by those same digital rules. His message sounded more like someone operating on loyalty and family pride rather than internet strategy. The tone suggested he wasn't worried about followers, online approval, or social media tactics. From his perspective, defending family came before everything else. By the time those alleged documents were circulating across hip-hop blogs, fan pages, and social feeds everywhere, the entire culture was asking the same question: what is 50 Cent going to do next? Because if we're being honest, this moment was unusual territory for Curtis Jackson.
He did. Nah, he did pull up on me. Yeah, he did.
To the standing on business.
Yeah, he tried to do like a.
Oh my god.
Nigga tried to do a stare off. Nigga got out his car and just stood on kind of like the top of the car like that and just. I said, man,
the car name was business.
All right, and this nigga going right back to that nice ass house. He don't know shit about standing on no business, man. And y'all know that. Y'all stop playing, man.
Yeah,
I'm lying like I ain't from the suburbs too. Yeah, nigga, I'm from the same way.
I think King will make it hard for you in Atlanta.
Nah, I with King Harris though. He cool.
Over the past 2 decades, he built a reputation as one of the most strategic figures in rap beef. someone who often controls the narrative with humor, trolling, and perfectly timed responses. That approach helped keep him relevant long after his peak music era. But now the pressure looked different. For the first time in a long while, the internet was watching to see how 50 would respond after being pushed into a corner by someone much younger, with far less industry power, and seemingly nothing to lose. And that made the entire situation even more unpredictable. By that point, the diss tracks were stacking up fast. The screenshots and alleged paperwork were spreading across timelines everywhere, and the Harris family's offensive showed no signs of slowing down. Every day seemed to bring a new post, a new record, or another jab aimed straight at 50 Cent. So the big question hanging over the culture was simple. How would 50 respond? Would he finally step into the booth and answer the records with a track of his own? Would he pull something heavy from his own arsenal and flip the entire situation back around? Or would the pressure from King's aggressive push force a reaction nobody expected from someone with 50's reputation? Then the story took a twist that caught a lot of people off guard. Between February 26th and 27th, 50 Cent did something fans rarely see from him. The artist who built a reputation on never backing down from internet battles suddenly wiped every feud-related post from his Instagram page. All the memes, all the screenshots, all the jabs aimed at T.I. and King Harris. Gone. It was like the entire back and forth had been erased from his profile. In their place, he posted a short message that read, "You guys hurt my feelings. I'm out of here." On the surface, many people interpreted it as classic 50 Cent sarcasm. His humor and trolling style have always leaned heavily on dry jokes and ironic responses. But even with that tone, fans could tell something about the situation had shifted. To some observers, it looked like the internet's most famous troll had finally blinked, at least for a moment. Meanwhile, the Harris camp kept pushing forward. T.I. released another diss titled Lessons, marking his fourth track aimed at 50 during the feud. The post promoting the record even included an image mocking 50 with one of the same novelty items that had already been circulating during the online exchanges. 4 diss records in roughly a single week. That kind of output would be intense for any rapper, especially someone with a career as long as T.I.'s. And King Harris wasn't slowing down either. The pressure stayed on, the posts kept coming, and the internet kept watching every move like it was the final round of a heavyweight fight. King kept the pressure going. He started bringing up older accusations involving some of 50 Cent's past business partners, including arson claims and clips tied to previous controversies. The post created a steady stream of talking points online, almost like a faucet that wouldn't shut off. Every few hours, it felt like another piece of drama was being added to the timeline, keeping 50's name locked in the center of the conversation. But the way 50 responded next showed a completely different strategy. Instead of matching the Harris family's intensity, instead of jumping into the booth with diss tracks or firing off more personal shots, 50 went in a direction nobody expected. He posted an AI-edited clip from the movie ATL with his own face digitally placed into the scene. The video was clearly aimed at King Harris, and the tone inside it told people a lot about how 50 planned to play this situation. The move carried that familiar 50 Cent energy, sarcastic, casual, almost dismissive. Using a scene from ATL was an extra twist too, since that film famously starred T.I. himself. By flipping that clip with a deepfake, 50 turned the moment into another internet-style jab instead of a direct lyrical attack. To many viewers, the message felt pretty clear. Rather than treating the feud like a serious war between equals, 50 was presenting it like a minor disruption, just another piece of online noise in the middle of his usual routine of business moves, TV deals, and entertainment projects. One line from the post stood out, "It's just taking me a minute." That phrase carried a double meaning depending on how you looked at it. On one side, it hinted that some of the personal shots, especially the mentions of his mother, may have actually gotten under his skin. Moments like that can shift the tone of any conflict. But on the other side, the message also sounded strategic, almost like he was saying the pause wasn't surrender. It was calculation, a brief reset before deciding the next move. And anyone familiar with 50 Cent's long history in rap beef knows one thing for sure. When he goes quiet for a moment, people start wondering what the next play might be. And then came the 4 words that many people saw as 50 Cent's final judgment on King Harris's role in the whole conflict. 4 words that instantly shifted the tone of the situation and made it clear how 50 viewed the entire challenge. Grown man business. That phrase landed like a cold dismissal. In one move, 50 framed the situation as something beyond a 21-year-old stepping into a public feud. The message behind it felt simple. No matter how many Instagram live sessions happened, no matter how many old documents were reposted, and no matter how many diss tracks the Harris family released together, he still didn't see King as someone operating on the same level. From the 50s perspective, it looked like a young voice stepping into a much older battlefield, the kind of arena shaped by decades of rap feuds, industry politics, and personal rivalries. And that kind of dismissal can sometimes hit harder than a direct insult, because instead of trading punches, it denies the opponent the one thing they're pushing for: recognition as a serious rival. No response track, no lyrical war. Just a statement that suggests the challenger doesn't belong in the ring. Meanwhile, the wider reaction across hip-hop turned into pure chaos. Fans, artists, and commentators started picking sides all over social media. Old rivalries even began resurfacing again. One of the most noticeable voices jumping into the moment was Rick Ross, who openly showed support for King Harris online. Ross even joked about wanting a bold t-shirt mocking 50 during the situation. A reminder that the long-running tension between those two has never really cooled down. And just like that, a feud that started between a few people suddenly had the entire rap world watching, reacting, and reopening old grudges that had been sitting quiet for years. Moments like this also show how quickly veteran figures can jump into someone else's conflict if it gives them a chance to score points against an old rival. In this case, Rick Ross stepping into the conversation wasn't exactly random. Ross and 50 Cent have their own history of tension that stretches back more than a decade. So for many observers, his comments looked less like pure support for King Harris and more like an opportunity to take another jab at a longtime opponent. Then Charleston White stepped in with his own take, calling out what he saw as hypocrisy across the situation. His argument was that hip-hop culture often celebrates trolling, disrespect, and harsh commentary. But when things hit close to someone's personal life, people suddenly want to draw new boundaries. That perspective added another layer to the debate already happening online. Meanwhile, some artists tried to avoid picking a side. Jim Jones was one of the veterans who attempted to stay neutral during the whole situation. But even people trying to remain outside the conflict kept getting pulled into the conversation. The gravity of the feud was so strong that older rivalries and opinions kept resurfacing whether people wanted to be involved or not. Among fans, the reaction was split almost perfectly down the middle. One side praised King Harris for standing up for his mother and defending his family with everything he had. From that viewpoint, once family members were mentioned publicly, all bets were off. Supporters argued that if someone brings your loved ones into the spotlight, they should expect a strong response. The other side saw it very differently. Critics argued that bringing up someone's deceased parent crossed a serious line that shouldn't be touched under any circumstances. In their view, that moment pushed the feud into territory that could damage reputations far beyond the music itself. The feud became so viral online that some police departments reportedly started receiving calls from concerned fans asking whether authorities were going to step in. Eventually, officers had to publicly clarify that they were not getting involved in a rap feud happening on social media. When law enforcement ends up releasing statements just to explain they're not part of an Instagram battle between rappers, you know the situation has exploded far outside the culture and into full mainstream attention. At this point, the situation had reached a level that almost nobody involved probably expected when it first started. The alleged humiliating files that King Harris posted, the supposed FBI documents meant to land a knockout punch in the feud, ended up sparking a much bigger conversation than just one accusation. What they really exposed was something deeper about hip-hop culture itself, the long-standing no-snitch code. For decades, that unwritten rule has shaped reputations in rap and street culture. In many circles, cooperating with law enforcement is treated as the ultimate betrayal. But critics online pointed out that this mindset can also create dangerous situations, where silence is valued over safety and accusations become powerful weapons. King Harris has publicly signaled that he isn't finished, suggesting he still has more to say and more moves to make. On the other side, 50 Cent's camp, including longtime associates and the wider G-Unit circle he built over 2 decades, has mostly stayed quiet. letting that AI clip and those 3 dismissive words do most of the talking. Meanwhile, T.I. already has 4 diss tracks on the board and hasn't shown any signs of stepping back either, which means this entire saga might not be over yet. Not even close. Those leaked documents may have already been questioned and dismissed by multiple outlets, but they're still floating around online. And once something like that spreads across the internet, it keeps shaping public opinion long after the facts come out. Even if a claim wouldn't stand up in any real courtroom, the conversation it creates can still leave a lasting mark. In the aftermath of all this chaos, 50 Cent's reaction might actually be the most strategic move of the entire saga. The deleted posts, the sarcastic farewell message, and those 4 words, grown man business. That combination created a response that was quieter than the attacks coming his way, but possibly more calculated. Because while King Harris brought the noise, the posts, the diss tracks, and the viral moments, 50 answered with something completely different: indifference. And when someone is pushing hard to be acknowledged, nothing hits harder than being ignored. In hip-hop, sometimes the loudest statement isn't the diss track or the meme, it's the silence that follows everything. Now the real question is whether this story is truly over, or if the next round is already loading behind the scenes. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who follows hip-hop culture, and drop a comment below. Whose side do you think handled this situation better? Let's talk about it.